Good morning, all of you. Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
Ma'am.
See, children, just we have started an introduction about the chapter when people rebel 1857 and after. Okay, we have discussed about 1857 revolt. Okay, and 1857 revolt. Okay, it is also known as First War of Independence. Okay, or Sepoy mutiny. Okay, Prarthana. Okay. It is also known as Sepoy mutiny. Okay. First time the Indians reacted against the cruel or the injustice rule of the Britishers. Okay, so first time the Indians reacted against the injustice rule of the Britishers. So that it is known as the First War of Independence. Okay, and it was happened in the year 1857. There were many causes. Okay, there were many causes for the outbreak of the revolt. Okay, and I have told you a certain section of people. Okay, a section of people, they were not satisfied with the British rule. Okay, that means the Britishers oppressed many people. They introduced many policies. Okay, just to make these people under their control, just harass Indian people, and they were means they are very strong, so that they could easily establish their power over the Indian people. Okay, so many section means peasants, king, okay, king, queens, and also sepoys, and many people, okay, nawabs. Many of the section of people were not happy with the British rule, so many of them joined in this revolt. Okay, and we have discussed about nawabs. Okay, see children, when it's since mid 18th century, okay, the nawabs, their means their power, okay, seems to be erode. What do you mean by erode? Disappeared. Okay, they lost their power. Okay, so we'll discuss about that. Okay, since the mid 18th century, the power of Nawabs and Rajas had been eroding. The Nawabs, they lost their power. Okay, then the authority and the honor which they earlier commanded were gradually waning away. See, children, the Nawabs under the Mughals, they were enjoying a superior position. Okay, but it seems to be disappeared when it comes to mid 18th century. And the Britishers, they appointed residents. Okay, they appointed residents, means an official appointed by the Britishers. Okay, so these Britishers appointed residents in each area. They were handling the power. Okay, instead of Nawabs, the British appointed residents. They were handling the power in each territory, and the freedom of the Indian rulers was reduced. The freedom of the Indian rulers was reduced, and their armed forces were disbanded. They were not supposed to keep or maintain an army. Okay, their army was disbanded. And the company also took away their revenues and territories in stages. By step, the company take control, okay, over these Nawabs, and the Nawabs lost their power. Okay, that was the problem related to the Nawabs. Okay, when it comes to mid 18th century, the power of the Nawabs, okay, they lost their power. And the Indian rulers, the freedom of the Indian rulers was reduced, and their armed forces were disbanded. And
Ma'am,
also, yeah,
ma'am, can you say the meaning of erode?
disappear,
Okay.
lost, yes. Then the company also took away their revenues and territories in stages. They were collecting taxes from the people by step or by stages. Okay, in stages, the company gradually took over control, okay, over the Nawabs. The Nawabs, they do not have any power in their territory. Okay, so the Nawabs, they were not satisfied with the British rule, and they turned against to the Britishers. Clear, children?
Yes, ma'am.
Point we have discussed on the last class. And some ruling families, okay, ruling families, they try to compromise. Okay, negotiate means compromise. They try to negotiate with the Britishers, but the Britishers, they were very strong, and they are very strong and capable of their military forces, so they never agreed with the demands of the Indian rulers. Okay, one such example was that about Rani Lakshmi Bai. Okay, Rani Lakshmi Bai, she was the ruler of Jhansi. She was very brave. Okay, and but she do not have a male heir. Okay, so after when her husband died, she wanted to make her adopted son. Okay, she wanted to make her adopted son as the next ruler, but the company refused to recognize her adopted son as the ruler. Okay, so on which ground, children? It was doctrine of
Lapse.
lapse. Yes. According to this policy, what does it mean?
Ma'am, if
If
anyone
the
is have
king did
male
not have
Ah,
a
higher,
if
male child,
yes.
they
he
have to
will lose
give
the
their
kingdom.
territory.
Okay. If any king, if he do not have a legal heir, that territory, it would be under the control of the Britishers. Okay, so they introduced this policy, doctrine of lapse. It was applied on Jhansi, and Jhansi was occupied, or it was under the control of the Britishers. Okay, then Rani Lakshmi Bai, she fought bravely, okay, in this battle, and she was killed in the battle. And the same problem was related to Nana Sahib. Okay, he was the adopted son of Peshwa Bajirao II. Okay, and Bajirao II, he fought the Maratha, Anglo-Maratha war against the Britishers. Peshwa Bajirao, he joined in this war, but means he faced many defeats. Okay, he was defeated by the Britishers, so he was ready to surrender with an annual pension. Okay, that is 8 lakhs per year. Okay, with an annual pension of 8 lakhs. But after when Peshwa Bajirao, when he did, the company refused to give this pension to his adopted son. Okay, who was the adopted son of Peshwa Bajirao II?
Nana Sahib.
Nana
Nana
Sahib.
Sahib. Okay, Nana Sahib was the adopted son of Peshwa Bajirao II. When he did, okay, when Peshwa Bajirao II, when he did, the company refused to give, okay, his father's pension to his adopted son. Okay, so these two cases were similar, only because of the adopted son, the company refused to give this pension amount to his adopted son. Okay, so children, either by their strength, I have told you the Britishers, they were very strong, they can conquer, they have modern weapons with them, so they were they were confident of their power. But the Indian people, they were primitive, and also primitive means they were not they were lacking modern weapons and also new ideas. Okay, modern ideas and all, but the Britishers, they were very superior in this case. And they introduced many policies like Doctrine of Lapse, Subsidiary Alliance. Okay, they have conquered, or they have occupied many of the territories either by their strength. Okay, sometimes they will lead the battle against these rulers, and that kingdom would be under their control. And sometimes, okay, in some cases, they will introduce some policies like Doctrine of Lapse. Okay, Doctrine of Lapse or Subsidiary Alliance. Okay, so children, the next point we need to study, that is about the annexation of Awadh. Okay, have you heard about Awadh? Have you heard study anything related to the territory Awadh before, children? Okay, it is in Uttar
No,
Pradesh.
ma'am.
Okay, Awadh is in Uttar Pradesh. It's also Ayodhya. Ayodhya, you have heard, right?
Yes,
Ayodhya?
ma'am. Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Okay, the same. Okay, so annexation of Awadh. Awadh was one of the last territory to be occupied. That means that by step, I have told you, either by their strength, okay, or else by introducing many policies like a Doctrine of Lapse. Okay, the Britishers, the company, made all the territories under their control. So Awadh was one of the last territory to be annexed or to be occupied. So a subsidiary alliance was imposed on Awadh in the year 1801. Children, have you studied about subsidiary alliance?
Yes, ma'am.
What does it mean? Like a doctrine of lapse, it also the policy introduced by the Britishers to occupy the kingdoms. Okay, so subsidiary, according to subsidiary alliance, who can tell me?
Ma'am,
Hmm, yeah.
ma'am, company will protect them.
Yes.
British company will be protecting.
Yeah, that means the Indian rulers, okay, they do not have the right to maintain an army. Is it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, the Indian rulers were not allowed to maintain an army. Instead, the company will protect them. Right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and in return, what they wanted to give back?
Ma'am, they have to pay revenue.
Yes. In return, they needed to pay, means a sum of money to the company. Children, you all have studied this, right? Do I need to explain it? Devon,
Yes, ma'am.
what do you mean by subsidiary alliance?
Ma'am, the company will look after them.
No, company will look after them. In return, what do the Indian rulers wanted to do? Hmm? See, children?
They should give
And they
revenue.
have to pay them.
Yes. Okay. See, according to the subsidiary alliance, listen to me. The Indian rulers, they do not have the right to possess or maintain an army. Okay. Okay. They should not have the right to maintain an army. Instead, the company, okay, the Britishers will keep an army there and they will protect against the invasions or against the attacks. Okay. Then, but instead, the Indian rulers, they needed to pay a huge sum of money, revenue to the Britishers. Okay, and if any Indian ruler, if they fail to give this money, what will happen?
The
That
British will
territory,
Ma'am, they
capture
will
the
take the
territory.
territory.
They will take
that
the
territory
territory.
would be under the control of the
British.
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 Okay, that is meant by subsidiary alliance. The same like doctrine of lapse, this policy also was introduced by the Britishers to annex, okay, the territories or to make more territories under their control. Okay, so here Awadh was one of the last territories to be occupied. Okay, and a subsidiary alliance was imposed on Awadh in the year 1801. And when it comes to 1856, okay, Awadh was fully taken under the control of the Britishers. Okay, so by step, the company, they introduced many policies and they made all territories under their control. And during this time, the Nawab of Awadh was Wajid Ali Shah. Okay, Wajid Ali Shah. The misrule by the Nawab was given as the reason for the annexation of the Awadh. That means that this Nawab, he is not governing smoothly. Okay, so here his misrule, okay, misrule by the Nawab was given as the reason for the annexation of Awadh. Okay, so the Nawabs, they were, okay, the Nawab of Awadh, he was also not satisfied with the policies of the Britishers because a subsidiary alliance was imposed on Awadh. And when it comes to 1856, the full territory, okay, Awadh was under the control of the Britishers. Okay, so this Nawab of Awadh also joined with the revolt. Okay, he also joined in the revolt. And this was one of the reason for the outbreak of the 1857 revolt. Okay, children, is this point, it is clear to you?
Yes,
Annexation of
ma'am.
Awadh?
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
Awadh was many territories. Okay, see children, the Britishers, they were very superior and they introduced many policies. Okay, or else they will use their strength to establish their control over the Indian territories. Okay, so Awadh, so by step, they have taken control over most of the territories under their control. And Awadh was one of the last territory to be occupied. So they introduced or so they imposed a subsidiary alliance. Okay, subsidiary alliance means that the Indian rulers, they do not have the right to keep an army. Instead, the company will appoint an army and they will take care of this territory. Okay, then in return, the company, sorry, the Indian rulers, they needed to pay huge amount or revenue. If they fail to give this revenue, that territory, it would be under the control of the Britishers. Okay, clear children? Subsidiary alliance, is it clear to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this subsidiary alliance was imposed in first in 1801, and when it comes to 1856, Awadh fully was under the control of the Britishers. Okay, so the Nawab of Awadh, Wajid Ali Shah, he was not satisfied with this action, so he turned against the Britishers. Okay, then the next is plans to end the Mughal dynasty. See, children, from 1526 onwards, okay, from 1526 onwards till 1858 or 7, okay, till this
Get out.
revolt, the Mughal dynasty. Okay, Mughal dynasty was ruled over India for more than 300 years. Okay, more than 300 years, the the Mughal rulers were established their control over Indian territory. And this time also, okay, the Mughal were the prominent, prominent rulers like Aurangzeb, then Shah Jahan. Okay, many Mughal rulers we have already studied in last year. So this time, Mughal dynasty was in power. Okay, when the Britishers were here, the Mughal dynasty was ruled over India. So the Britishers were not satisfied with this Mughal rulers. So they were planning, okay, they were planning to put an end to the Mughal dynasty. Okay, here in India. So step by step, they also, okay, the same methods they used in this one also. The first step, okay, the company was working its plan to bring the Mughal dynasty to an end. Okay, and first, they removed the name of the Mughal king from the coins. The coins were minted, okay, minted over here. They removed the name of the Mughal kings from the coins. Okay, so step by step, the Britishers tried to decline the power of the Mughals. Okay, and first step, what was the action of the Mughal Britishers? They removed the name of the Mughal kings from the coins. Okay, and second step, in the year 1849, see children, please note down the name of this Governor General Dalhousie. Okay, Dalhousie was the Governor General of that time. He announced that after the death of Bahadur Shah Safar, okay, Bahadur Shah Safar, he was the last Mughal emperor. Okay, he was the last Mughal emperor. After the death of Bahadur Shah Safar, the family of the king would be shifted out of the Red Fort. Okay, Red Fort was the place where these Mughal rulers were lived. Okay, the family of the Mughal rulers were lived, and Bahadur Shah Safar, he was the last Mughal ruler. Okay, last Mughal ruler. So, General Dalhousie announced that after when Bahadur Shah Safar, when he died, okay, the family of the Mughal rulers, they would shifted out of the Red Fort. Okay, see children, Red Fort, we know that the Mughal rulers, they built many monuments and buildings, even it is relevant even today, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Our during Independence Day, from where our Prime Minister hoist our national flag?
I'm from the Red
Red
Fort.
Red Fort, right? Okay, so even now it is relevant. So Red Fort was the place where the Mughal rulers lived. So Governor General
Ma'am,
Dalhousie, yeah.
Ma'am, even the Taj Mahal was also built by the Mughal rulers.
Ah,
Ma'am.
yes, yes, Taj Mahal, then Red Fort, then Fatehpur Sikri, many buildings and many mosques. Yeah. Taj Mahal was Shah Jahan. Okay.
Yes.
Then, so the general, see, children, this one you need to note it down. Dalhousie. Okay, who was the general governor general of that time? It was Dalhousie. He announced that after the death of Bahadur Shah Zafar, the family of the king, okay, they would be shifted out of the Red Fort. Okay, and they'll be given another place in Delhi as resident. They need to live in another place in Delhi.
Ma'am,
Okay. Ah, yes.
ma'am, this Governor General Dalhousie introduced Doctrine of Lapse, right?
Ah, yes, yes. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So this was the decision. Okay, this was the decision of this Dalhousie after the death of Bahadur Shah Zafar. Okay, he was the last Mughal ruler, Bahadur Shah Zafar. After when he did, the family, okay, the entire family, they need to shift out of the Red Fort. And also, this also noted down, children, 1857, Canning. Okay, the Governor General Canning decided, okay, he decided that Bahadur Shah Zafar would be the last Mughal king. After his death, none of his descendants, okay, none of his followers would be recognized as king. They would be called only as princes. Okay, so the Britishers, they planned, okay, they made plans to end the Mughal dynasty from 1526 onwards. For more than 300 years, the Mughal dynasty ruled over the India, okay, or ruled over India, and by step, the company introduced many plans to put an end to the Mughal rule, okay, Mughal dynasties. And the first step, what they have told, they removed the name of the Mughal kings from the coins, okay. And Dalhousie, he announced that after the death of Bahadur Shah Zafar, after the death of Bahadur Shah Zafar, the family, okay, the family of the king or this Mughal emperor, they needed to shift out of the Red Fort. They'll be given another place to live. And in 1856, okay, Canning decided that Bahadur Shah Zafar, he would be the last Mughal king. After his death, his followers, okay, none of his followers will be called or would be recognized as kings. They will be, they will be called only as princes. Okay. So this was the means the so Bahadur Shah Zafar, he lead the revolt. Okay, he was the leader of this 1857 revolt because the peasants and the sepoys, they have demanded. Okay, they demanded to Bahadur Shah Zafar to lead the revolt, and he was ready to lead the revolt, but here the Britishers captured him. Okay, the Britishers captured him and he was exiled to Rangoon. What do you mean by exiled? Exiled.
Sent
Ma'am,
to
he
He was
sent
sent to,
to
yes, he was sent to Rangoon. It is a place in Burma. Have you heard about Burma, children?
yes, ma'am.
Ah, it is the older name of Myanmar.
Myanmar.
Yes, Myanmar. Okay, so
Ma'am,
Bahadur
who was sent to Rangoon?
Bahadur Shah Zafar.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, so Bahadur Shah Zafar, he lead the revolt. Okay, he lead the revolt against the Britishers, but he was defeated and he was exiled to Rangoon. Okay, he was
what is a
exiled.
Rangoon?
Rangoon is a place name. Okay, it is in Burma, older name of Myanmar.
Myanmar.
Okay. Okay, so children, let me revise the points. annexation of Awadh, okay, either by their strength, either introducing many policies, the Britishers tried to occupy, okay, or to establish their power over many of the territories. And Awadh, okay, it is in UP, okay, Awadh is in UP. Awadh was one of the last territories to be occupied. So they introduced or they imposed a subsidiary alliance first in 1801. And when it comes to 1856, okay, fully, okay, Awadh was fully under the control of the Britishers. Okay, so the Nawab, the misrule by Nawab was told as the reason for the annexation of Awadh. And the Nawab of Awadh, he also joined with the, means the revolt. Okay, then the Britishers, Mughal Dynasty was there, okay, was ruling over India for long, 300 years, okay, more than 300 years, their rule was here. So the Britishers were not happy with the Mughal Dynasty. They needed, okay, so they prepared plans to put an end to the Mughal Dynasty. And they step by step, okay, they took many plans to end the Mughal dynasty. Then first step, they removed the name of the Mughal king, okay, from the coins, okay, minted by the Britishers. And in 1849, Governor General Dalhousie, okay, he announced that after the death of Bahadur Shah Zafar, he was the Mughal emperor of that time. After the death of Bahadur Shah Zafar, the family members, they needed to shift out of the Red Fort. Okay, they'll be given another place in Delhi. Then 1856, okay, just to the revolt, okay, it was decided by Governor General Canning, okay, that after the death of Bahadur Shah Zafar, he would be the last Mughal king, and after his death, none of his followers will be, they would be recognized as king. They will be only, okay, they would be only called as princes. Okay. So princess and king, do you know the difference of these two, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Then the main issues, okay, that was with the peasants and the sepoys. Okay, so we'll discuss what is the problem with the peasants. Okay, children, the peasants, we know that the East India Company, it is a trading concern. Okay, it was a trading concern. They wanted to buy the raw materials at a cheaper rate from here, and they wanted to sell it at higher rate, right? That was their intention. Is it, children?
Yes, ma'am.
They were attracted to spices, okay, spices and also cotton, okay, what all materials are abundant over here. This East India Company, they were attracted to this and they came here to buy these things at a cheaper rate, okay, and they wanted to sell, they wanted to make huge profit by selling the same things in European markets, right? Okay, and the problem with the peasants was that the Britishers, they forced Indian people to produce the things that they wanted. Okay, that means indigo. Have you heard about indigo? What is
Yes, ma'am.
indigo?
Fly.
Ma'am, it's a type of plant.
Yes,
Ma'am, very
yes.
expensive.
Very expensive, and also, you know, children, it is a dye, means used to give blue color.
Color.
Okay, okay, blue color. So indigo, it had a huge market in European, means it had a
It is a plant.
yes, crop. And it has a huge demand in European market. Okay, so the Britishers, they forced Indian people, okay, Indian peasants to produce the things which they wanted. Okay, which all things has a huge demand in the European market. They forced the Indian peasants to produce that things. Okay, example was indigo. Okay, and also they were collecting huge taxes from the people. Okay, they were collecting.
Ma'am,
Yes, yes, Ivanya.
ma'am, certain crops have certain seasons to grow, right?
Ah, yes. And also,
Ma'am, so if
our
they are not
our
growing, what they will do?
yeah, that what I want, and so I'm going to discuss. See, children, the Indian people, they have primitive ideas. They do not have any modern, modern means ideas, okay, for the cultivation. The Indian peasants, they merely depending on monsoon season for their survival. Okay, monsoon season, they were depending on monsoon season, and also they are producing only the things which we were used in means which we were used in our area. Okay, so but the Britishers, they forced the Indian people to produce the things which they wanted, okay, which they really wanted, means which all things had a huge market in the British, means British or the European markets. They demanded the Indian peasants to produce that things. Okay, so the Indian farmers, they were helpless. Okay, because they needed to pay huge amount as taxes. Okay, at the same time, they were producing the things that is really wanted by the people of Europe. Clear, children? Okay, so
Yes,
the
ma'am.
same situation they faced, because some crops, okay, they can produce only in some season, and also they do not have any modern ideas or modern weapons. Okay, so the condition of the peasants, it was very miserable under the colonial rule. Okay, under the Britishers, because they do not have the freedom to choose which all items they need to be produced. Okay, and the Britishers compelled or forced these people to produce the things they want. Clear, children?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
so the peasants, they were not happy with the Britishers, with the high taxes and the rigid method of revenue collection. What do you mean by rigid methods for revenue collection? That means they were forcing the Indian people to pay high taxes. Okay, and also if they fail to pay the taxes, what will happen? The land would be under the control of the land will be under the control of the Britishers. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
So, and many of the peasants, they were very poor, and they were cultivating the land. Okay, cultivating in the land which was not owned by them. Okay, many of the peasants, they were very poor, and they were cultivating, the land was not owned by these people. Okay, they were cultivating the another people, so okay, but cultivating the land of another ones by, means giving rent. Okay, by giving rent, they were cultivating in some other places. So they needed to pay huge amount. They needed to pay taxes. Okay, they needed to pay the taxes, and also they needed to live, and also they needed to find out money for the crops. Okay, for the next production. Okay, so the life
Ma'am,
of the yes, yeah.
ma'am, so when they are paying taxes and they are cultivating the crops, so will they get some salary like that and all? Will they
No,
be serving the
sometimes,
farmers?
children, 50% of the production, sometimes they were given as taxes. Half of the production. Okay, half of the production, either by cash or either by goods, they needed to pay to the Britishers. Okay, with the remaining 50%, they needed to live. Okay, they needed to look after their family, and also they needed to buy the things, the fertilizers, the crops for their next production. Okay, so what the peasants will do? They will lend the money from the money lenders. They will borrow the money from the money lenders. Okay, and in most, most cases, they will fail to repay their loans. Okay, they do not have even production. If their production, if it is happened, okay, if it is hit by any those calamities or something, so the life of the peasants was very miserable. Okay, they were not happy with the high taxes and also rigid methods of revenue collection. That means if they failed to pay the revenue, they were using harsh measures. Okay, the Britishers, they used harsh measures against to the peasants. Okay, is it clear, children?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so the peasants, they were not happy, okay, with the high taxes, okay, and also rigid methods of revenue collection. So in some cases they will borrow money from the money lenders, and if they fail to repay the money, they lost, okay, many peasants, they lost the lands they had been tilling for generations. That means they were used, okay, they used this land for generation, but they lost these land, okay, because of their failure to repay their loans. Okay, so the peasants, they were depending mainly on loans for their survival, and if they fail to pay the loans, what will happen? They will take on control over the lands. So the many peasants lost their lands. Okay, that, so children, this point we will discuss on the next class. Okay, and the peasants and sepoys, we will continue our discussion on the next class. See children, these points are clear to you. Is there any doubt regarding any of the points of this one?
No,
No,
ma'am.
Okay, and what about this annexation of earth? Is it clear?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Now
Okay,
can I show that slide?
which
Questions
one?
and the Sepoy.
Okay, that we will discuss on the next class. Okay, anyway, you can. The peasants, they were not happy with the high taxes and the rigid methods of revenue collection. So many of them lost their land. They were tilling for generation. And so because it's common, because they failed to repay their loan. Okay, children, today I'll update the notes. Okay, only 2 questions that I will send to you. Just copy it. Okay,
Okay,
and
ma'am.
just read the textbook. If you have any doubt, you can discuss it with me. Okay, children.
Okay, ma'am.
Thank you. See you in
Thank
the
you, ma'am.
next class.
Bye, ma'am.
Thank you. Bye.